Welcome back to our channel, Hume's Little Homestead. I've started this video a dozen times and I just don't know quite what to say. First, we are super grateful for all of the prayers and support and the love that we have received for these past 16 weeks. Around Christmas time, we found out that we tried to have one more pregnancy. We got pregnant, and on January 7th, we found out that we were pregnant. We took a home pregnancy test, and on Valentine's Day, and we didn't tell anyone about the pregnancy because we had recently encountered pregnancy loss, which wasn't something we had ever dealt with before or ever thought that it would happen to us because we had 5 full-term pregnancies, very little complications, just the regular morning sickness and that kind of stuff. So very little complications in my first 5 pregnancies. And so when we began having miscarriages in 2021, we just didn't think anything of it. We thought, well, one miscarriage, everybody goes through at least one miscarriage, you know, and so we decided to try one more time for a pregnancy. We had experienced 2 miscarriages so far, and the second miscarriage was later, getting close to the 2nd trimester, so it wasn't very common to lose the pregnancy at that point because everything looked good, the heartbeat looked good and everything. So we decided to try one more time for a pregnancy, and we got pregnant, and we found out on Valentine's Day that it was twins. And I can't even describe to you the joy and the excitement and the happiness that I personally have felt in these last 16 weeks. Being able to experience being pregnant with twins was such a miracle, such a joy, such a blessing. And we went ahead and announced early because of Happy Tuesday, because of all the twos, and just everything seemed like it was working out perfectly. It felt like Heavenly Father was giving us this really exciting miracle. All pregnancies are miracles, but it felt like He was giving us this really exciting miracle to fill the holes that had been created by losing our other 2 pregnancies. Not that our babies would be replaced, because I believe that each of these babies had their own destiny and had their own spirits and their own personalities. I believe all 4 of them were different people and different lights to bring to this world. And so anyway, on March 28th, we were 14 weeks and 2 days pregnant. According to the doctor, I felt like my due date was 2 weeks off. According to my own personal due date, I thought that we were 2 weeks farther along, but the babies were measuring 14 weeks. And so I was going off what the doctor recommended and said that we were 14 weeks. And so that's what my post correlated with the doctor's measurements. And so anyway, we decided to let our girls, Haley and Hannah, play hooky from school and come with us to the ultrasound because we were so positive. Everybody was praying for the babies. We prayed for the babies every night. We just felt like the pregnancy was going to last all the way to term because we had made it so far into the pregnancy. And we went into the ultrasound room so excited, and the girls were asking about the babies, and you could see them on the screen, but there was no heartbeat. And I didn't really connect it because we were all so excited, except for the fact that our ultrasound tech was being so quiet, and she wasn't talkative. Normally she was very chatty about our twins, and we had had extra ultrasound scans because it was twins, and it was very weird that she wasn't talking. And then she said, I just need to go talk to the doctor really fast. And I realized I hadn't seen the babies moving, and I realized in that moment that something probably wasn't right. And the doctor came in and said, well, we usually do this differently, but you have your kids here, you know. And he said, things don't look right. And Haley asked if the babies were dead. And the doctor, we were confirmed that there was no heartbeat and no movement, and they had stopped growing around 13 weeks and 5 days. So they had been deceased for a couple of days at that point, but I just couldn't believe it. I was just in such shock and disbelief. It felt like all of the air in the room was sucked out of me, and I just couldn't even breathe. I just asked if I could go to the bathroom, and I tried to catch my breath, and I just remember coming out and asking the doctor, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Like, are you for sure?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm completely sure." And so that's when the next couple of days were such a blur, because they don't do anything right away, because you need that. You need that to sink in that your babies have died. You need that sure confirmation of a second ultrasound. You need that for peace of mind. And so we went into the hospital on Thursday to get our second ultrasound, and my mom and husband and Ryan were with me. And that's when we confirmed that the baby still hadn't grown, and we had everybody praying, and we are so grateful for everyone who was praying that there would be heartbeats and that they would be okay, and that the ultrasound on Monday was wrong. And we're very grateful for everyone who joined us in prayer that day and fasting, and for everyone who prayed and fasted for the entire pregnancy, because really our babies were stillborn babies, but they were perfectly developed little boys. And anyway, we went forward with induction because the babies had passed on, and we could tell that they were not moving anymore. But I didn't want to believe it. I just kept thinking that God was going to give me a miracle, and that he was going to make my babies be wiggly, and their hearts were going to be beating that day, and they weren't. And so it took me a long time to decide to even go through with induction. And we checked, and my body was already beginning the labor and delivery process. My cervix was already ready. And the only thing that wasn't happening was I wasn't cramping or bleeding just yet. I did have a low backache Wednesday night and Thursday, all day Thursday. And so I believe that I was having back labor already anyway. So our first baby was born on March 31st, and we named him Noah James. And I had picked the name Noah because these were our little rainbow babies, and I love the story of Noah in the Bible and the promise of the rainbow, and that God will answer our prayers and give us blessings and promises. And so I had picked the name Noah, and I had picked the name Ezra, but I had not picked middle names yet. And if they were girls, the names I had picked out were Brooklyn Faith, and Whitney Grace. But they were not girls, they were boys. And so we have a lot of sons now. But Noah was born on March 31st, and then 6 hours later, little Ezra was born. And I hadn't picked his middle name, but I had read over and over John 11, and the scripture that really touched me was John 11:25, and it's Martha's sure testimony that even if Jesus wasn't going to raise Lazarus from the dead right then, that Lazarus would be raised in the resurrection. And that is my belief too, is that we will all be raised in the resurrection, and when Christ comes again, we will all breathe and have our life back again, everyone who's passed on. So that is my same belief, and so that is where I got Ezra's middle name of John. So we named Ezra John, and he was born on April 1st. So it was really difficult. It's been really difficult, and I wasn't sleeping well, so we don't have our kids back home yet. They're at my parents' house, and Ryan's parents are also there taking care of them. And my grandma was here for a couple of days, and she's coming back to spend some time with me as well, which I'm very grateful for, because I am taking medicine for my nerves because I've been very distraught. And the first couple of days after it happened, I would just randomly scream out in sadness. And I also was having laughing fits, like uncontrollable laughing fits. It was almost like I was having seizures or Tourette's. Like, it was very scary. And I also was battling with suicidal thoughts those first couple of days, but now I'm taking some medicine to help calm my nerves, and we actually are going to be bringing home our kids today. It's been a week since it happened, a full week. So anyway, we just want to thank you for your continued prayers, and thank you for subscribing, and our dear friends at Walker Farm Family and Walker Farm Fam, and the farm on Route 66. They asked for prayer requests for us, and that is very special. And we're so grateful that you have joined in our prayers, and you really have helped us more than you know. So we're very grateful for everything, that all of the blessings that have come our way through this really hard trial. And so I guess, I'm sure you've probably already subscribed to their channels, but I would invite anyone who hasn't to please. Their channels are so uplifting, and so they're just the sweetest people ever. So that is the Walker Farm Fam, and they have another channel called Catching Up with the Walkers, and I believe that is where they did the prayer request. And we just want to say thank you, because we love that they do the prayer requests, and we never thought that they would ask for prayers to be requested for us as well. But it has been very appreciated, and we are so thankful for very good, loving friends. And then the other channel is the Farm on Route 66, and their family is the Palmer family, and just couldn't have been surrounded by more love and grace during this time, and we're grateful. Today I am going to go ahead and plant tomatoes, because I'm behind in planting tomatoes. I was planning on starting them last week, but I have not had much energy, and so today I'm going to plant our tomatoes and eggplants and start the okra. And I do have other clips to share. I have clips from the morning of the ultrasound, where all of us were so excited and happy to go and see our babies before we knew that they had passed away. So I have some clips to share of that. Ryan and I planted 2 rose bushes for our babies, and I have some clips of that. And I will also share some clips from the labor and delivery that night. So I won't be sharing any of the pictures of the babies. I just feel like those are sacred pictures, and their little bodies were perfect, but I just feel inclined to not share those pictures. We do have them for our own personal records, and it brings me a lot of peace and comfort to see the babies, but I am not going to be sharing the pictures of their bodies. I just don't know, I don't feel like it's appropriate. So anyway, thank you so much again for your love and support, and let's plant some tomatoes. Actually my favorite part of the garden. So I'm really excited to be starting on the tomatoes this year. So what I am going to do is I'm going to create my labels as I go. I'm going to show you how to do the first one, and then I will show you when I'm all the way finished. But I'm gonna walk you through the first one. So tomatoes are very small seeds. If you have never grown a tomato, let me show you how little the seeds are. So see all those seeds? There's like 50 seeds in there. And when you're planting small seeds like tomato seeds, you don't want to plant them too deep, but you want to plant them. So the rule is your seed, you want to plant it twice as deep as it is big. So you're only going to be planting your tomato seeds about this far into the ground. So like right here. And so you can take, I got this little tool with some little pots that I ordered, but you could use a fork or a spoon, and all you're gonna do is gently press into the soil when you get it in and make a small tiny hole and put your tomato seed in. Now you can start tomato seeds in a special seed starting mix. Because I am late to the game and because I just have potting soil, I always say just use what you have. Just use what you have on hand. You don't need to go out and buy a whole bunch of stuff to garden. You can garden with what you have. So today I just have a regular potting mix. And so it's just the potting mix from the big box store. It's nothing special. But if you want to, you can start your tomatoes in like softer seed starting solution, and you'll probably get good germination rates that way. I actually haven't had any problems starting them in the potting mix, but you can use the the marketed stuff for seed starting. You can use that if you feel better about that. So I am going to be labeling, I'm going to color code my tomatoes. I think for my cherry tomatoes, I'm going to use these green labels because it looks like I have the most, and I love cherry tomatoes the most, so I will be growing more varieties of cherry tomatoes this year than the larger tomatoes, but I am going to grow some larger tomatoes as well, slicing tomatoes, tomatoes for canning, that kind of thing. So I'm going to start with the cherry tomatoes with the green labels. And like I said, I'm just going to show you the first one here. Otherwise, we'd be here for hours while I'm planting these tomatoes. So I'm just going to create my label first. The first seeds I have here are Matt's Wild Cherry. Now these are really tiny tomatoes that have a lot of flavor and zing. This seed packet is getting a little old. I think this is the 3rd year I've had it. So I'm not quite sure how the germination rate is going to be. I'm going to grow 2 of these plants. So I'm going to go ahead and label my labels first. Okay. And get my 2 pots, and I will fill them up to about right here with potting mix or whatever you're using. Okay. Now my potting mix is kind of dry, so I'm actually going to water it a little bit before I plant the seed. And I just saw this over there, so I'm going to grab it. Just because it's going to make that dirt settle because it's so dry. Gotta love Arizona. Alright, so I'm going to be planting 4 seeds. You plant 2 just in case one doesn't germinate. So 2 in each pot. You can do more if your seeds are older. If you feel like they might not germinate, you could do 3 or more seeds, and you can always thin them out, or you can separate them if you get good germination for all of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and do 2 in each, and like I said, these are incredibly tiny seeds, so you might accidentally plant more than 2 or more than 1. It's just they're so tiny. I'm gonna make a very small hole. And then plant a couple of seeds in each of the holes. Then just gently cover up your holes where your seeds are placed. Put the rest of the seeds, save these seeds. They can last for a couple of years. I've been growing these same seeds for a couple of years now. Put them back in the baggie. Make sure you get your labels on. If you're only planting one type of tomato, you don't really need a label. But if you're planting multiple types, then you're going to want to label as you go so you don't mix them up. And that's it. Now I'm going to go ahead and plant the rest of these tomatoes. I went over the seed packets last night that I was going to plant today. So I will add that clip in, and I will show you all the tomatoes when they're all finished. And I'm thinking I'm not going to have enough green ones, so I'll probably do green and yellow for the cherry tomatoes, because I have quite a few varieties of cherry tomatoes to plant. And I'm really excited about this garden season. Alright, I'll meet you back in just a second when all of these are potted up. I've got my first tray done here, and I just wanted to show you, I did 3, these are my canning tomatoes, so I did 3 of them, and the rest are cherry tomatoes. So the blue ones are my canning tomatoes, and these green ones are going to be my cherry tomatoes. Now, in a couple of days, they should sprout in about 7 to 10 days. I can separate out so I put about 4 seeds in this Matt's Wild Cherry pot to germinate. If all 4 of them sprout, I can totally separate them out, and that is how I get so many more plants. You don't have to do that. You can just trim them, like you can just thin them out, but it's so easy to just separate them and get more plants that's how I like to end up with more seeds than I had. So anyway, my first tray is done, and I'm gonna get working on my second tray. I just wanted to show you how it was looking. See? All the labels on there. Oh, one more thing I was gonna say is make sure, because I'm working with water here, make sure you do not get your seed packets wet. Some of these, like this material, is waterproof, but most seed packets are just this paper material, and if you get your seed packets wet, you can ruin all your seeds. So what I'm doing is I carefully put my seeds up here on the counter, and I'm carefully wiping down every time I pour in water in any of them or mist them. And I haven't missed them yet. I'll mist them all at the very end. I just missed the very top. You want to keep your seeds moist while they're germinating. You don't want them to be sopping wet, but you want to keep them moist while they germinate. So anyway, I'm just being real careful to make sure not get my seed packets wet so that my seeds don't get ruined for next year. All finished with planting, so now I'm just going to carefully mist the tops of these just to make sure that the seeds get moist. And I'm going to do this for every single one. I ended up with only doing 1 tray and a half a tray. I'm saving these other containers and this tray for when they sprout and if I want to separate them out and save more. So save more of the plants. So I'm going to keep all these together and finish off by misting all these plants. Now, these tomatoes like to be in between 65 degrees Fahrenheit and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Unlike herbs, they don't really need light to germinate, they just need heat. So if you have a heat mat to put them on, go ahead and do that. They need to be in between 65 degrees Fahrenheit and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the temperature tomatoes love to be at. So once they sprout, then I transfer them under grow lights if they're indoors. Or you can put them in natural sunlight if you can, if you don't have a grow light. So that's all you do, and I will show them to you when they start sprouting. That's my favorite part of gardening, is when the tiny little seeds sprout. So I'll be excited to show you all that. Thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate all the new subscribers and new friends that we have made, and we really appreciate the continued prayers during this time of trial for us. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye. Oh my goodness, why is it so muddy? Do we have to like wash it off when it's time to take it? That's gross. Yeah. Look at the flowers. One of my flowers is coming up over here. Ryan is going to try and measure the pig. This is our first time raising a pig. So, it's been an adventure. Well, I don't not like it. I think it wouldn't be so bad if I wasn't pregnant and such. I'm worried about losing the pregnancy. You know what I mean? It likes whatever you gave it down there. We've been giving it some mud because it was dumping out its water. How much?
42, right there. Likes love.
Thinks he's gonna be
42 and 42.
So what does that mean?
Oh.
Yeah, just a minute. It smells bad.
Pig crap is the worst. Yep.
Our peach tree started putting off little blossoms. I'll go show you that. Looks pretty cool. Look how pretty all these little pink blossoms are. This is a peach tree that my in-laws gave us last year after we lost our baby that we named Skylar. But I just thought it was so pretty. It has little blossoms all over it, and it's really coming out. My peach trees that I started from seed have never done this, so it's really cool. I think this tree is from Tractor Supply, I think. today?
Having the girls trip.
Plus Emmett. We're in the big van today. We are going to see our babies on an ultrasound, so we decided to let the girls stay home from school. I never ever do this. I'm very stickler on attendance.
Definitely.
So they're real excited that I let them stay home from school to have a girls' day today. The boys had their boys' trip on Saturday, and they did a lot of really fun things. Got new haircuts, got new shoes. So today it's the girls' turn. And it's kind of our first time taking the big van out, so we're excited to drive it. Well, to show all the way as far as we're going today. Right, checking everything. Was that door open?
Yeah.
Oh.
Girls didn't shut it hard enough. It's all right.
didn't get around to doing that yet. So what I did last night is I was going to, oh, this is hard. I was planning on planting my okra and tomatoes tonight in some little pots. These little pots. Last year my okra did really bad, so I had everything set out, these labels and everything to make the video, but I just couldn't film today. So anyway, what I'm doing right now, because I soaked these already and they've been soaking for 24 hours, the okra seeds. You can do this for better germination. I should be planting them in soil right now, but I don't have soil ready. So instead what I'm going to do is put them in Ziploc baggies with paper towels. I'm going to label them because I am trying to grow Clemson Spineless and also the Burgundy. These seed packets are from Baker Creek Seed Company and I got them last year. So I didn't use the whole seed pack last year. And last year I tried planting them directly in the ground and I just had really bad luck. So if anyone has any tips on growing okra, I would be willing to hear and learn from you because I had really bad luck last year. And when my family lived in Kentucky, in like areas that it rained, okra just grew kind of like a weed. But here in Arizona, it's not doing as well as I expected it to. So anyway, maybe it needs more water or something, but I'm gonna label these baggies and do that really fast, and I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. Working on a baby book. I've shared on our Facebook and Instagram that I was going to be doing this book to remember our 4 babies that we lost. Anyway, I came up with the idea to scrapbook. So right when we got out of the hospital, some daffodils had bloomed, so that's one of those daffodils. This is all the pictures I have from our pregnancy with Skylar. This is all of the pictures I have from our pregnancy with Liam. And then the little memorial that we did for Skylar and Liam, and then our pictures from our twin pregnancy. I'm not going to show the birth, but I just wanted to show, because I also have the birth scrapbooked in here, but I wanted to show what I've been working on and what I've been doing to help heal a little bit. So I also put their little, they didn't get birth certificates because they weren't big enough yet, but the nurses made these really sweet little, kind of like birth certificates. It put their name and the time that they were born and how much they weighed. Little Noah was 1 pound, not 1 pound, little Noah was 1.1 ounce, and Ezra was 1.6 ounces. So then I just went ahead and put some more information in here about the babies that we lost, and it's been helping me heal. We want to say thank you so much for the prayers that have been sent our way and everybody who's been continuing to pray for us and keeping us in your thoughts. We really, really appreciate it. And I'm sorry that we haven't had many videos up, but I've been quite sad, and it's been a little bit hard to get back to normal videoing and normal schedule. I did find some things at the dollar store that I'm going to add to our flower garden. And if you've been following along for a while, you know our flower garden is a little memorial for me to remember our babies. And I found this, and Ryan's gonna build a metal thing for me to hang it on. And it says, "Look for angels in your life, they are everywhere." And I just noticed this actually has 4 flowers, which is really cool because we lost 4 babies. So we're gonna hang this in the flower garden. And then it's kind of silly, but I saw these super adorable little gnomes, and so I got 4 of them. They're very cute. And I got 2 to match, kind of like because we had twins. So I got 2 with the green shirt, 1 with the yellow shirt, and 1 with the blue shirt. So I'm gonna add these to the flower garden too. They're kind of cute, kind of fun. And like I said, I feel a little bit silly that I purchased them, but I don't know, they're kind of cute. So I'm gonna add those to the flower garden as well. These flowers were given to us in the hospital, and it was really sweet. Someone brought them in right after we had the babies, and then these flowers were the ones that bloomed. My sister-in-law, Trakel, brought me these purple flowers, but these daffodils are from our own flower garden, and they bloomed the day we got home from the hospital. They're starting to get a little shriveled now, but they've lasted quite a while. And then these ones are from a friend and a neighbor, and then these ones are from my dad's baseball team, and that was very sweet, and we really appreciate it. So that was very sweet of them to, my dad's baseball team brought it up to him during practice, or it might have been a game, I'm not sure, I can't remember. But and my daughter picked me some of these weeds, and so I put them in a cup for her too. So anyway, it's going okay, and we are so grateful for all the love and support that we have received during this time.